Oh.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. Amy Palmer and Brooke Miller here. We are the administrators for the Facebook group Move to PEI. In our spare time, we are also realtors here on PEI.
What is spare time?
I have no idea.
Okay, go on.
So in our other time of not administrating the group, we are realtors. We both work for East Coast Realty, which is a locally owned brokerage. And we wanted to start this group because we just felt that the amount of hate that people who were wanting to move to PEI get on some of the other groups, specifically maybe Ask PEI, was just not keeping with like Islander spirit, right?
And
like
being welcoming.
And being welcoming. Yep. Don't let the negative speak towards those people who are thinking about moving to PEI. Like, let it deter you, because I do find that when you're here and you are like letting people get to know you, then so much of that prejudice of being from away goes away. I'm not going to say that everybody is super open to it, but I just find that it's very easy to be negative on Facebook groups because it does feel like it's, arm's length. Like, I'm not actually being mean to you. I'm just telling you how it is and blah, blah, blah.
It's like the YouTube syndrome. You can comment and not be, responsible or liable for your actions. So the other thing too is that this group really is leaning towards folks like yourselves, and everyone here has a level of experience from making that move to the island or the research that they've done. And those similar questions have been asked by them, but also those resources have been found by them. To Amy's point about moving here and really being in the thick of the environment here, you will tap into resources. Firsthand, in person, word of mouth, and community support are great ways for doors to open when you're not finding those resources online. That's a huge component. So trusting your gut, we always say, just kind of do it anyway and find your people. So that's part of what this community is all about.
Yeah. So today's topic is talking about raising kiddos on PEI. I have 3 kids. They are ages 4, 6, and 7. I had 2 of them here on PEI at the local hospital. I had one in Nova Scotia. And then I have gone through the daycare system. I've gone through the challenges of the daycare system and how we adapted to it. I have gone through getting them into school and what that looks like. And we're just now starting to get the kids into like extracurriculars and what that is like too. We are not a hockey family. I don't like rinks. They are cold. So we don't play hockey. But we have kids in music. We have them in swimming. We have them in karate, different things like that. And so we're going to talk today about daycare and how that works. We're going to talk about the school system. We're going to talk about day camps and stuff for after school versus PD days, snow days, and then summer as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment them. Yep. And Brooke is watching the computer over here so that she can answer the questions.
Totally.
The next live, I will say, we're going to do it again, usually like the last Friday of the month. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to we're going to take like frequently asked questions that we get, and then maybe some of the specific questions that you have, and we're going to answer them live and talk through the answer and stuff like that. So put that on your calendar, the last Friday of April, 2 p.m. local time here. And it's going to be, if you have questions, send them ahead of time. You can pop on, let us know, those types of things.
That's right.
All right. So first thing we're going to talk about is daycare, because that's where it all starts. There is a daycare registry that is for all of the government regulated daycare centers. Okay. So that registry is online. You have to sign it. You have to create an account. You have to put your kids' names and ages in, and then you basically kind of like pick the daycares that you would like it, whether it be specifically like 1 or 2 or like a region kind of thing. And so depending on where you're living, where you're working, that kind of thing. There is a backlog of places. So if you're coming here and you are looking for a place for an infant, it's going to be very hard. If you're coming here, for example, but you have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, then it's going to be a little bit easier to get a place. When we had our first child, I was on maternity, obviously. And then when he was about 9 months old, my husband's job didn't look super secure, whereas I was working for the university at the time. So my job was unionized. It was very secure. I was also pregnant already with our second. So what ended up happening is we didn't have daycare lined up for him. My husband ended up leaving his job and he stayed home with Andy, our oldest, for a little bit. After that, we ended up moving to Nova Scotia. I was still a stay-at-home mom. We had the second, then we had the third, blah, blah, blah. So we didn't get a daycare spot for an infant here on PEI. That being said, our second one was already on the registry. You do have to log into the registry every 30 days to keep your account active. So if you have a kid on the registry, preemptively for you to move here, you do have to log in multiple times, like just maybe every Monday or something, log in and check it, and just to keep your account active. When we were moving back to PEI, our oldest was in kindergarten or primary, depending on which province you're in. He was in that. Our middle one was in pre-primary kindergarten in the school system. And then our youngest was in a home daycare in Nova Scotia. When we moved to PEI, pre-kindergarten or pre-primary is not in the schools here. Okay. So PEI has $10 a day daycare within the regulated daycare centers. And then actually what they do is they further subsidize that amount to $5 a day for the preschool age kids. So for the 4 or 5-year-olds that are starting school the next year, it's actually only $5 a day. And that covers their like time that they're not, that is outside of the school day time, kind of at daycare.
Kind of after while parents are still finishing up their
so you still follow like the daycare schedule, like you drop them off in the morning, you pick them up later in the day, you know, sometime at 4 or 5:30, but you only pay $5 a day for that preschool age.
Now, question: when you sign up and you're keeping your account active, is there anything further you have to apply to make sure that you're subsidized, or is that kind of automatically implemented when you have? When you're in a regulated daycare, it's just automatic. It's taken care of. We get a bill every month for the $5 a day. They charge it to our credit card. That happens. Now, if you don't get a place in a provincially regulated center, you are most likely going to be going to a home daycare. Okay. Home daycares, you're looking at about $30 to $35 a day per kid. Okay. So there is a big difference there. What I would say is if you have that older child, make sure that they are on the list, because daycares are very likely to try and get younger siblings in if they have a place for that older sibling. Yep. Cool.
So interestingly enough, we actually ended up kind of jumping the line for our daycare when we moved back in 2022, because our middle one was already on the registry and technically had been on the registry since he was born.
There you go.
And he was 4 years old. And so when I reactivated it, because he was going into a pre-kindergarten class where the numbers are better and they really almost take everybody that's in that age group, because they had a place for him at this childcare center for Jack, they actually made sure that they had a place for Ellie Mae when we moved too. So we ended up getting really lucky there, and we totally recognized that we were so lucky with that.
But that is one way you can kind of hack the system a little bit.
Well, yeah. So like the longer you're on the list and then the older that the kids are, the better chance you have of getting into a center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a list here, Amy, that you have of kind of the rundown of the systems and what they're called, because each province is a little different in the way that they're perhaps categorized or named. Can you kind of give us a quick rundown?
Yeah, so after daycare, then you go into what is the public school system. So on PEI, it's called the PEI Public School Board. It used to be called the English Language School Board and the French Language School Board, but now it's the Public School Board, and then there is the Langue Française d'École something, which is the French School Board. Okay, I don't speak French very well. I apologize. Okay, so after you finish up with your pre-primary, pre-kindergarten, in PEI it's kindergarten, then you start school in the fall for kindergarten.
Right.
Okay. The way the years work is if you turn 5 before December 31st, then you start. So Jack is very young for his class because his birthday is November 2nd. Okay. So, but he's in that cohort. So he was born in 2018. So anybody born from January 1st to December 31st of a year is together in a grade cohort. Okay. Okay. So when you start in kindergarten, you can start in an English school. You can start in French immersion. And then you can start in the French school. So there are 3 options when you start in kindergarten. And that continues until grade 6. Okay. In grade 7, which is when most of the schools transition to an intermediate, there are a couple schools in PEI that do run K through 9, but those are more exceptions rather than the rule. Right. So usually 7 to 9 is our intermediate. And you have your English program, you have your French program at the French school, and then you have the kids that did French immersion from kindergarten. But then we actually have another one, which is a late French immersion. So you can actually start your kids in French immersion in grade 7. Okay. So they would have had like a little bit of French language starting in grade 4. Just like those little, let's learn the colors, let's learn the count, you know, maybe a couple of verb conjugations, but nothing crazy. And you watch that. Do you remember that? Do you remember that video that you watched in French class? And it was like des ananas, and it was like the dancing pineapple. They still watch that. Télé Français, yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. They still watch that. They watched that when I was subbing like 10 years ago one time.
Well, the graphics are superb now.
They are.
Yeah,
the Télé Français.
Oh
Télé
my gosh.
Français.
Oh my God. I don't know if there's one Canadian kid that wouldn't recognize that. And so when I had a question about, what was it? 7 to 9.
7 to 9.
All right. So when we're talking about putting your kids into late French immersion into 7th grade, let's say they haven't done so up until then, how important is it for someone considering putting their kids into, like, what are the benefits of having the French immersion going forward on the island specifically?
Well, on the island specifically, like, we do have a lot of government positions. And generally by the time you graduate, you are pretty much fluent. Yeah. Of course, it is totally dependent on the student, but you are very functional and capable with your French language by the time you graduate. That's right. So, like I have a friend, she did late French immersion here on PEI, and she works for the government. She has improved her French continuously, and so she works in a bilingual position. There you go. On PEI, we do have things like, we have the CRA offices, we have Veterans Affairs, we have all of the provincial government jobs, and to then be able to have your French just increases your ability to get a job there. And I mean, being employed for the federal government on PEI, it is kind of like a great career path for you because it's so stable. It's very well paying for like the area, and so it's just great. So that's why the French immersion late. I will probably strongly urge my kids to do French immersion late. Just, I wasn't ready to put them in for early, especially with having 2 boys. You never know what they're going to be like in school. There is that attention kind of issue. So I will be hopefully pushing them a little bit better for late French immersion.
Perfect.
From there, you then go on into high school, and there is the option of still, again, you have your English, your French immersion. So by grade 10, the early French immersions and the late French immersions are coming together to be the French immersion class. And so the amount that they learn in the 7 to 9 years is very intensive, but they are basically at the same level by the time they reach grade 10. That is the goal.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Okay, so grade 10 through 12, you then have your English, you have your French school, you have your French immersion, and then you also have the International Baccalaureate program at certain high schools around the area.
That's right.
So where things come down is we have families, what's called a family of school, and it's based on the high school and then everything underneath it that feeds into that school. So we have, I looked it up. We have like 10 families or something like that of schools. I can't remember. I have it like saved on PEI, and it's all about those schools that feed into it. So there's 2 for the Charlottetown area. Right now there's Colonel Gray High School and there's Charlottetown Rural. Stratford is building a brand new high school, so that will change the way change the flow of students through the system.
That's right.
Currently now Stratford students go to Charlottetown Rural. First they go Stone Park, they go Birchwood and then Charlottetown Rural. So they will be zoning to their own high school across the bridge. From there, you also have Bluefield, which is basically like Cornwall, Hunter River, Cavendish area that all feeds Bluefield. You have Kensington, you have Summerside, you have Montague family of schools, which encompasses kind of like the whole lower eastern side. So like Belfast feeds to Montague, Vernon River feeds to Montague.
Yeah.
And then you have Surrey, which also has a French school as well. Not Surrey.
Surrey is far east, correct?
Surrey is.
Just want to make sure.
I call Surrey like up east.
Up east, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have Kensington, Summerside, and the up west one.
Right.
Alberton? Something like that.
Yes.
Can't remember what the name of the school is though.
I don't know.
Westall. That's it. All right. That's the school system. So we kind of have the families of schools. That's where that came from.
Good.
Yeah.
If there's any questions here at all, feel free to just fire them on, or if you don't make it to this live, you can always go back to the chat here and just fire them on. We're gonna continue these conversations. There were lots of folks that chime in as well.
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome.
So, and then in terms of, you've got summer programs for those parents who will continue working through the summer and kids are off of school. When is typically our summer vacation start for kiddos?
Yeah.
And then when do they go back to school?
Okay.
And what is available for kids, parents, home care, like child care, day camps, things like that. So
yeah. All right. So the school year usually ends like the 27th, 28th, like 26th of June.
Right.
That's when grading day is, which is the last official day of school. So you're off just a couple days before Canada Day, basically. And you were technically on summer vacation until we usually go back the Thursday after Labor Day. Okay. Right now we'll be doing day camp registration for the summer. What you spend on day camp, if you are lucky enough to get one of the few spots at the Boys and Girls Club of Charlottetown, that is probably the least expensive one. Can't remember how much it is. From there, you have some city-run day camps, which are about $125 a week per kid. Again, those ones tend to fill up pretty quickly. Up to UPEI, I know is about $190 or $200 a week per child per week. And yeah, There are other programs, like I know that the Confederation Center for the Arts, they do some summer programming. There are some STEM day camps. Usually, I think like the physics department at UPEI has one. There are some different ones that way.
But now is the time when you would want to start.
Yeah, so I know that like I'm watching, it's usually the middle of April that the UPEI ones open up. And that's kind of the one that I tend to go with because it's so easily accessible right there. And then it's right next to Ellie Mae's daycare. So that's where we tend to send the boys. But yeah, so that's going to be coming available for registration soon. And so we'll be watching that. Yeah. And I can really only speak to the UPEI one, but what they do is first they do when you want to register for full weeks. And so they do that. And then after those have kind of like filled up, then they kind of change it over to a day by day. So if you didn't want a full week, maybe you just wanted every Monday kind of thing, then you could do that too. So there is some options there, and they're about $35 a day. Okay. There are programs for after school care. We don't use them because my husband works from home. We're very lucky that way. The boys just get off the school bus. It literally drops them off at the end of the driveway. And they just come in, they get a snack. And then this time of year, we like send them outside and just send them to roam the neighborhood, like random children. Yeah, be free. Go ride your bike, go down to the park and play. And that's actually one of the great things about choosing to raise kiddos here in PEI is that we like there's not a fence everywhere. Like they play in the backyard and the ball goes into the neighbor's yard and it's just go and get it. Like there's not fences around all the parks, you know, controlling everything. The schools, there's no fences around the school play yards.
That's right. It's generally the idea that everyone's a neighbor and you might have a bit more of a breath between homes, and the yards are usually bigger than a lot of the postage stamps of a yard that are out there. And so there's less protectiveness for people to kind of like claim their space and just claim that privacy. And you'll find that there's a really neighborly, almost always, there's a really neighborly approach to being in a community.
Yeah.
It's pretty
like
cool. It's pretty
2 or 3 weeks ago was like the really nice first Saturday of spring. And we live in a neighborhood where there's just so many kids, and they kind of just like all glom together and like just move through the neighborhood like this. And it'd be like, oh, this kid has to go to this. And like two kids would go off, and then two others would come and join. And they would literally just go from backyard to backyard, like just moving as like this mass of children.
Which is great.
And it was great. It was really, really good.
That's how I grew up. And I love that kids get to do that. And, you know, it just promotes them being, you know, actual kids. And,
and, you know, they have to learn boundaries and... they
social
have to
cues.
figure that out.
Yep, exactly.
We still see kids like riding their bikes to school. Like it'll be probably 2 years more until we let the boys start to ride their bikes to school. But like that's something that they start to do. And they go to West Royalty. It's just over there. They have to go along a semi-busy street, which is Malpeck Road, Lower Malpeck. So it is a bit busy, but there's a sidewalk and they can just go and they'll be able to take their bikes, and we won't have to worry about that. It'll be great. Right. We look forward to that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Busing.
Yes.
All the schools really, I don't know that there's any schools that don't have busing for their kids, for their students. Ours get on the bus at 8:00. They go to school. They get off the bus at 2:45, 2:50, and that's it. It's really easy. We do have a school foods program that you can order the food. My kids don't love it. It's never been a favorite. So we don't do that. We send them sandwiches. They also order pizza. Like it's Domino's this year. I order them like a slice or two on Wednesdays to go with their chocolate milk on Wednesdays. And it's $2 a slice. So, you know. I get them like 2 slices. Do the schools
still do the reading programs, like the Scholastic programs, and have book selling? And
they still do the book fair. Yeah, it's a fundraiser, but they also do every month. Like Scholastic sends out that little pamphlet
Yep, I remember that.
seasonal books.
Yep.
And that's a fundraiser. And actually the daycares do that too.
Okay.
So like Ellie Mae will have one taped above her cubby at daycare and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it is a fundraiser.
Yeah. That's been going on for decades.
Yeah.
Literally decades.
And then the book fair always coincides with like a parent teacher conference day, so that those big metal like unfolding cases that get set up in the library, like those are there.
I remember there used to be a little bit of competitiveness with the kids too, because we'd have to like see who could get people to sign up, and it meant that we had to go knock on neighbors' doors and go say hi to people. And
Yeah, we still
like
do get like
first sales job, you know.
yeah, like you will get like
Yep.
the Queen Charlotte band is fundraising for a trip, and so they're doing a 50-50 draw. And so like I know that the neighbor next door is going to be coming over to try and sell tickets for the 50-50. So that's really great.
Cool.
They still do that.
Speaking of bands, here's a question kind of specifically towards those of you with kiddos in music programs. We know that in other parts of Canada, some of those programs and the arts are being squandered. And I guess my question to you is if you know, if there are certain bands and schools that have a really strong music program, is there anything that stands out that you remember? I'm trying to think too.
No, yeah, like the town schools tend to have just that little bit more options when it comes to extracurriculars. But then there is like some music programs, extracurricular music programs, again at the Confederation Center.
That's right.
There's musical theater things at the Guild and stuff too, right? So the schools here also do their yearly musical / play that they actually perform down at the Confederation Center. That's where they do the performance.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know I'm a little bit out of touch with the band system. I know when I went to Colonel Gray High School, we had a really strong band program, and there was a jazz program. There was, I think there was even like a rock band program where kids wanted to explore and kind of get out of like being playing classical music and into, starting their own little rock band. And then there was, what was the other one? Oh, Bluefield High School had a good program. Bluefield and kind of central. What area is that? That's
Bluefield?
Yeah.
Well, it's out Coville Way, Emmyvale.
That's right. Okay.
Right.
So that's one of the high schools there for that more north-south shore.
Like
area
the
central
west of town, but still like if you live in Cornwall, like you go to Bluefield.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly. And then I know for you folks who, if you have any questions after this live, if you have any more questions about your music kids, if they're getting into band, and maybe we can do a little more research to determine where some of those fun music programs are for your kids. We do have a question from David Douglas saying, I'm in the final stages of selling my house here in the UK. My dog and partner and twin children 19 arrive in November. We can't wait. Holy smokes, that's great news. Okay, so 19. David, thanks for chiming in. Are your kiddos, I guess they're out of high school now, are they going to college? Are they enrolling? Or are they just doing like a lap of life around?
Ooh, a gap year.
A gap year,
yeah.
That's right. That's good.
We are pro gap year.
Very much pro gap year.
I remember like my first day of university, and like you sit down and they're like, okay, so what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Because that determines what classes you need to take.
My God,
and you're just like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like, I remember being overwhelmed by that. So, I am just looking for something. Oh, this is what I was looking for. So within the high school, if you are looking for more trade classes, if you're planning to maybe go to like Holland College for carpentry or electrical stuff or HVAC, they do have programs in the high school to start that education.
Yeah.
So,
I can add to that. May I? Speaking of programs to start education, there is a really great program in high school at Colonel Gray in Charlottetown that is 10 through 12. and I actually went and spoke at it as an entrepreneur, and they are talking to folks and they want to train kids to kind of
is it the entrepreneurship
yeah,
process?
it's fantastic. So they really want to help kids kind of be curious about their paths. They're encouraging just fostering, trying new things, fostering trades, fostering knowledge, and tapping into resources and other professionals across the island. So that is a great program, and that's the first that I saw of it since. I mean, I was in high school. They didn't have that at Colonel Gray.
Yeah.
Finally, they're starting to introduce like preparing kids for those kinds of
for actual life.
Actual life.
There is a class that you have to take in grade 10, and it's all about thinking about where you're going.
Right.
And like, what are you going to study in high school that's going to set you up for your next stage in life, right? Yeah. But I just want to say this.
Please,
so,
please.
The PEI offers 6 full high school courses in each of these 3 subjects: automotive, carpentry, and welding.
Awesome.
Out of our 10 high schools, 9 offer carpentry, and 7 of those also offer the automotive and welding courses.
Oh, Ivers used to do the automotive courses at Colonel Gray. Yeah.
They also offer 3 courses in foods and culinary at all 10 of their high schools, and they can achieve their food handler's safety credential. So that's what I've gotten there. Did you know that we used to offer Gaelic did you know that at Colonel Gray? It's like one of an elective course that you can take. I actually want to know if they still offer Gaelic.
It's funny. I took PEI history at Colonel Gray, and that was like a made-up course. Our doctor, or our teacher, Mr. McDonald, created the course so that we could learn about island history, which is interesting now that we're doing this page and teaching about the island as well.
It's true.
Yeah. But Gaelic speaking students visit PEI. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if they still offer it. They did when I was like teaching. So I used to be a teacher as well. I have gone through, I had some contracts on PEI. I worked in supplemental tutoring. We have a Sylvan Learning Center here where you can go for extra help.
That's great to know. So what does Sylvan do for kids?
Well, they have, if your child is like younger and they're struggling with reading or math or writing skills, they can help you with that. And then they also do homework help.
Good.
For like grades 7 through 12. If you have a student who just really needs that extra guidance to get them through their daily homework or their test prep, in high school especially, like chemistry is one of the most tutored programs. Grade 10 math is one of the most difficult classes to adjust to. Like, it's just crazy.
I remember it well.
Oh, do you?
Yes,
I remember teaching it.
Go on, yeah.
So, like, but there is other options out there for tutoring as well. Sylvan does tend to be a little bit more expensive, but there are other options for tutoring. So after high school, like, obviously you can go on to secondary educate or post-secondary education. We have UPEI, we have Holland College, and there are grants for students who graduate from PEI high school who then stay on PEI for their post-secondary education. So there's lots of options there.
Trades are really where it's at here, I would say. Trades. And
I mean, when you and I talk to a lot of people, like, it's just like the housing market is just so tight. Like we don't have enough housing starts for the population and the population growth that we've been seeing. And then we talk to contractors who just can't reliably keep enough people employed to really make a dent into the buildings.
Into
So
the demand.
yeah.
So trades, healthcare is a great entry.
Yeah.
Teaching, education, all of those are aspects and trades that are very much needed here.
And even for teachers, like if you don't have your teaching certification, but you want to be in the classroom, there are EAs. But also, if you have a certain level of university, so I think it's even if you've only done your first year of university, you can actually be an uncertified substitute teacher.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's always an option. But I do know that teachers are in demand here. I was doing some subbing. Was it last year or the year before?
Year before.
And I could have done subbing full time. Like there was enough demand for me to have done that. So that's good to know. Nursing again is another one.
Yeah. And I know this is another live to talk about healthcare, but there's always a lot of talk about healthcare on this. So schools and healthcare and jobs prospecting are big topics here. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out and continue to ask questions, because a lot of folks have gone through this process and have started to really carve out their path here. And some of that's just simply by being here and doing it.
Yeah. I don't know if we have anything else.
No, I think that's kind of it.
That was kind of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a big province. There's lots here to be offered. And again, across the age span of what some of you might be, you might have high school kids and kindergartners in your family.
Then you're just in it for way too long. Like I know,
Get out now.
I know that we kind of had like our own like crazy idea to just have all of our kids at once. But
hey, stuff happens.
I know.
Oh, that's awesome. Anything else? Thanks for doing all that research.
Oh
That's
yeah,
great.
of
That's
course.
awesome.
Well, I will admit a lot of it I knew.
Oh yeah, of course. It's your wheelhouse.
I did do my education degree at UPEI, so I did several teaching placements here on PEI, and
Very cool. Very cool. So going forward, please don't hesitate to reach out to Amy or I or both. We can always answer questions along the way, even if we just don't have the answers at hand. That's part of our gig, is to be resource finders and providers. The other thing I will say is that we do have a community chat that's ongoing inside this group. And at one point I will be developing more conversation around pet owners, and those moving to the island with pets. Dogs in particular are my specialty. So yeah, again,
you do have a good collection of dogs, don't you?
I do. I have a collection. You have 3 kids. I have 3 dogs.
Yeah.
They're all about the same age too. Although I have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
In dog years. Okay. But anyway, keep the conversation going. Keep it welcoming. I love the honesty and the informative.
As my mother always said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
That's right.
Right? That's what my mom always says.
That's a very good point. All right. So
I think that's because I was a sarcastic little. Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I know. What? Anyway, so yeah, keep it friendly, keep it helpful, be honest, but just make sure that you're coming at it from a constructive way, not from a, yes, people need to know about some of the struggles that you're going through, but really keep it friendly.
Yeah, that's right. We're all here for each other. We all want this island to attract the right people, and our intentions are to just be resourceful to each other. So the next live is Friday, April 25th.
Oh, you looked it up.
Oh, yeah, I did. At 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is
Atlantic Standard Time.
Atlantic Standard Time. That is 12 p.m. Mountain Time. And that's 8 p.m. European Time. So David Douglas, way over there, you are chiming in the evening over there. So
it's only 4 hours to England.
Well, then what is I looking up? Anyway,
I have no idea.
We are going to recap that and post it online well in advance. But we have viewers and participants from all over the world at this point. So how freaking cool is that?
That is pretty cool.
So cool.
And there's a lot of people who have already made the move.
Yeah.
And we love seeing you guys on Facebook when you've made the move and you're living your island dreams.
That's awesome.
We have some that I swear they are the most like they just do a little bit of everything. And since they moved to PEI, like they've got chickens, they like bake sourdough, they're like getting back to, they have their garden, awesome. They're getting back to like their hobbies of like throwing clay, which is what you call making pottery.
This one. Even today I showed a house to a couple who lived way over on the West Coast, and found that PEI in so many ways was very much like the West Coast. They came from British Columbia, and they came right across the country and found a home here and love it. Absolutely love it. We've been lucky enough to work with some of you who have moved to the island and requested our assistance, and we've been able to help guide you through that buying process. A lot of you have just already found that person to help you make that move, and that's awesome. Yeah, so just keep supporting each other.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mariah's
Well,
here.
we're gonna head out.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful sunny day. As you can see behind us, the sun is shining. It is spring.
The snow is melted.
We are going to go do springy things.
That's right.
All
I've
right.
got 2 meetings and then
Yeah.
the end
You
of
got
my
a busy
day.
day.
I do
Yeah.
have a busy day.
Okay.
All right, guys.
I gotta go cook a roast.
Like you do.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.